What's up everybody, it is Flashwing. So today's video we're going to be kind of taking things down a notch. Thank you very much for all of the comments and all of the words of encouragement. So today is kind of the, more boring aspects about doing track events or even really any heavy riding in general, which is dealing with all of the maintenance and of course, doing things like putting away tools and reorganizing the garage. But I wanted to take a few minutes to kind of showcase a few things that I'm doing after the racetrack, talk to you about some things to keep in mind if you're ever looking to do track events, whether it is on a bike or if it happens to be in a car as well. A lot of this stuff tends to be a little bit more universal. One of the aspects that is important is being able to distinguish between street maintenance and track maintenance. So it's important to understand that there is a big difference between the racetrack and the street, and not necessarily just from a performance perspective. So what are those differences? Well, especially with maintenance. Maintenance is probably going to be the biggest difference between how things are done on the street and how things are done on the racetrack. Because the track subjects your vehicle or bike to some of the most intense and grueling activity that it's ever going to see compared to the street, it's even more imperative that maintenance be top-notch. So I'll give you an example. Something that's a little bit more, I guess you could say, on the extreme side is this. This is a maintenance log. It's nothing really fantastic. It's not even really designed for the... That's why we can't have nice things, because I break them. It's not even really designed exactly for the application that I'm using it for, but it is and you can design anything as simple or as complex as you want. I simply wanted something that was hardback, that was going to be hard to lose and not easily destroyed. But a maintenance log is very important, especially for track vehicles, because you need to keep track of everything that you're doing and everything that needs to be done, because the activity and the use of these vehicles is so extreme that they could potentially break, because that's just the nature of being on the track. You are pulling out every ounce of performance that you can out of a particular piece of machinery, and it's only natural over time that things are going to wear out and things are going to break. The one big difference between the track and the street is with your average owner, like your average car owner, and in some cases even your average bike owner. If things break on the street, they don't always tend to get fixed, or they don't always tend to get fixed right, or even necessarily with high quality parts. The track, on the other hand, you cannot behave that way and expect to operate the machine in a safe manner. Things have to be fixed right away, and they have to be fixed correctly. Otherwise, they're going to eventually manifest in big problems later on. In the case of a motorcycle, if that problem happens to be something big enough that causes you to crash, or at the very least come very close to a crash, it's obviously going to ruin your day and potentially ruin an entire season of track activity depending on where you live. Now, what about things like maintenance parts like oil? Okay, oil is probably a big one. Everybody sort of assumes that, hey, if I buy a particular set of oil and it's made for race use, it's made for the racetrack, that is going to be the absolute best stuff for the street. Not necessarily. If you're buying oil that is specifically formulated for track use, chances are it's only designed to be used for about 500 miles of actual continuous use. Well, obviously on the street, you're going to be riding a lot more than 500 miles. Why is that? Because these products are designed to be used in extreme circumstances for short periods of time, at least compared to being on the street. Secondly, they're also designed with intervals that are significantly shorter. Like, for example, when it comes to racing, if you are part of a serious race team, chances are you're going to be performing engine rebuilds every season, or maybe every other season. And some of the even crazier professional levels of racing, they could be doing rebuilds between events. Some race parts are the same way. Some race parts are not necessarily designed to be used for long periods of time. They are designed to be used at very short intervals, but with extreme levels of performance. And finally, when we're talking about aspects of maintenance, it should also be pointed out that typically maintenance that's performed on street vehicles is inconsistent and can vary in terms of the parts that are used, the processes that are used. So on hand, street vehicles will always see more miles, inconsistent maintenance, inconsistent parts, and very little documentation. Whereas tracked vehicles should be using good documentation, regular intervals of maintenance, and using the best quality parts that are available or what you can afford. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. All right, this is what we have right here for today's first example. All right, this is Mobil 1's Racing 4T 10W40 motorcycle specific oil. First, notice that it says Racing on it, Racing 4T. Now it could be concluded, and this is exactly what I'm talking about, that this is a marketing campaign that is designed to appeal to those of you out there who think if it's got racing on it, it must be good for me. Now I want you to see something here. This is very important. I'm going to see if I can focus. All right, you see at the top, you see where it says Racing 4T on this level. Look at the recommended customer application where it says all motorcycles where 10W40 is specified. That is not racing oil. Okay, that is a street formulation of their Mobil 1 product. So even though it says racing, it's actually 10W40 synthetic oil that is designed for street use. Now, they'll say it could be used for racing applications, but it is not a race specific oil. If you look here, you're gonna see Mobil 1 Racing, and it says race engines not recommended for street use. That is a case of a properly formulated oil product for racing specifically. So if it says it's only for race engines, that means that it's going to have a formulation that is designed to be used under extreme temperatures, extreme cases of flow and heat and pressure, and not for more than about 500 miles. Just to keep in mind, when you see something that's out there and it says that it's racing, don't necessarily be like, oh, that's obviously gotta be good, because if it's good for the track, it's good for the street. You want something that is specifically formulated, and not just oil, really any product. You want something that is designed for street use, because that's where you're going to probably be spending the most of your time. If you have a track specific vehicle, or a vehicle that sometimes sees track time, then make adjustments based on your use, but understand that the two worlds are very different. I haven't unpacked anything from yesterday whatsoever, so right now I'm gonna go ahead and get the garage situated, and then after that I'm gonna be changing the oil on the race bike, because I didn't like the condition of the oil as it came out the day before the event. It didn't look all that good, so I'm gonna take the oil out today and change it and see how it looks after yesterday's event. I'm expecting it to look a lot better.
You lift my spirit, with you high is all I'm feeling. Remember how we felt alive. I remember you, you make me stronger. Can't go without it much longer. Remember, remember.
So this is the aftermath, and you can see this oil was brand new before the track event, and this is basically how it looks now. We're pretty much wrapped up out here. So we got the oil changed and everything set up with new safety wire. Got the maintenance logs all updated. There's a bunch of other stuff that needs to be done, but I'm probably not going to deal with it today. I've got over a month until the next track event, so Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed today's vlog. A couple little tidbits. And thanks again for everybody for your support and your time. And we'll see you out there.